everyone, and welcome to the Knitting by the Sea podcast. My name is Lisa, and I am Saratogaknitting on Instagram and on Ravelry. And welcome to my home today. I live in Marblehead, Massachusetts, which is a little harborside town just north of Boston on the North Shore. And I live in a very old house right now. I live in a house that was built in 1750 originally as a warehouse, and then it got converted to a residence probably 100 years after it was first built. But now we are here and loving it. Marblehead is a lovely little town right on the ocean, on the harbor. We have a harbor just a stone's throw here from my window. And today we will be doing a couple of things. I don't have any finished objects to show you today. I do have lots of works in progress, and I thought we would do just kind of a little musing on Rhinebeck today. That Rhinebeck had happened a few weeks ago now, but I haven't podcasted since then. So I think I'll talk a little bit about our experiences there. And also just to note, we do have our cat, and she has a little bit of a bell on her, and she's actually sleeping right now in the very sunny window. But she may get up at some point, and you may hear that jingling. I mention that every time because I really don't hear it anymore. But sometimes people ask me, what was that noise that was going on in the background? And if you hear a little jingle, it's just the cat getting up and moving around. But anyway, let's get started. Works in progress. What do I have going? I think some are still ongoing from the last time, but I think I have a couple of new projects. As most of you know, I am a moderator for the O-Loops Harry Potter knit-along that's going on right now. It's a 3-month knit-along. It's October, November, and December. And we have lots of different challenges. We have a main month, a big challenge each month. Then we have extracurricular activities that we can do. And this year we have 2 different projects that we can work on for the entire 3 months. So that's what a lot of my knitting is during October, November, and December. What I have to do for the November challenge is to knit a project that represents your Patronus. So I've taken the quiz a couple of times, and I've had some weird Patronus, and then I've had some better ones. So one of the quizzes that I took gave me a cat Patronus, so I decided to go with that one this time. And I found this really cute pattern for a little cat pillow. I think it was originally done maybe in worsted weight yarn, so mine is going to be a lot smaller than that because I'm going to do it in fingering weight yarn. I'm actually using an O-Loops skein. Isn't that gorgeous? The colorway is Dean Thomas, and I really like these. I really like these colors. They're kind of muted and softer, and really just remind me of the leaves actually that are outside the window right now. But I really like the colorway. I really like this colorway, and it's just beautiful. Fingering weight yarn. So I have the first half done, and I'm actually it's really an easy knit, and it's super, super cute. It's called the Cat Cushion, and it's actually by Sue Speechley, and I'll put the information down here on the bottom, but it's super cute. So here's the first half right here. So you can see how nicely the yarn is kind of almost different, but not really. But it really just doing the stockinette. So I'm knitting back and forth, and it really just picks up all of the different the lengths of the color in this pattern. So it's basically you just knit two rectangles really, and you add some cat ears on the top. So I have one finished, and I have the second one probably halfway done on the needles. And you actually add a tail. You stuff it and add a tail, and then you use buttons for the eyes, and you just kind of duplicate stitch or embroider a nose and I think a mouth on it as well. And I think it'll be really, really cute. This is not going to be huge, but it's actually going to use most of the yarn, which is really the goal. But it'll just be really cute, and I think I can put it up next to Sophia's Beans the cat that she did a few years ago. But I'm really happy. I think this is just really cute. It's going to be cute with some buttons for eyes. So this is project number 1, and I'm actually using as my bus knitting right now. I work in Boston, so I commute at least an hour and a half each way every day, and I take a bus for the first part of the commute. So I probably have at least a half an hour of good knitting time. But this is nice and really mindless, and so I'm kind of moving right along on this one. The second project that I'm working on for the Harry Potter Knit Along is the fifth year students are doing their Owls project, and the Owls project this year is to knit something that relates to the profession that you want to take up when you finish at Hogwarts. And since I am one of the moderators, so I'm the professor for Hufflepuff House, I actually kind of would aspire to be Professor McGonagall, the deputy headmistress. And so what I am actually doing is a pair of socks that are called Socks for the Deputy Headmistress, and it's by Erica Lueder. And it's a really great pattern. And again, I'm using some O Loops sock yarn. These really have Hufflepuff colors in them, which are great. And I'm just using the contrast yarn, also O Loops that came with it. So I'm going to do the contrasting heel and cuff. Normally, when people do contrasting yarn in a pair of socks, they do toes, heel, and cuff, but I forgot, and I just went ahead and knit the heel. So we're going to have some contrasting toe and contrasting cuff, which is perfectly fine. But this is a really fun pattern to do, and it just gives a little bit of a texture on the front of the sock. And you can see how nicely this sock, the yarn again, it's up in stockinette, and it's giving kind of that stripy look without really being striped. So it's not pooling at all. It just has these really nice blocks of color, which I'm really enjoying. Super soft yarn. I'm gonna love getting these finished. But again, I'm not in any rush because it's a 3-month project. So this kind of is my interim bus knitting when I don't have something else going on. And this one is being stored in my my lovely bag from Gail, Birdie, and Poppet. So again, this is a bag she gifted to Sophia and myself, and it just is lovely because it has all of the. It's like Marblehead. It's got the ocean. It's got the boats in the harbor, and it has all the lovely little old houses. So it really does look very similar to Marblehead, where I live. So once again, thank you, Gail. I have to say, I have a really nice, just a little story around this bag as well. Just kind of, it's November in the United States. We're going to have Thanksgiving soon, and it's just kind of a time to be thankful and remember. And it's a super little story, but I think it's really great. Several weeks ago, when Gil sent this, Sophia and I picked out a nice card to say thank you to her and mail it off. And I was going to go to the post office one day and mail that card. And I had it all, it's all ready, it's all addressed and everything. And I also went to the library and I dropped off some books. And I dropped off some books that were actually interlibrary loan. So in this country, probably do this in other countries too, but in this country, most libraries, if you have a library card in one, you can borrow. The libraries in the local area are usually kind of in a network, so you can go online and choose a book and have it. They will get it for you from another library, and then you just pick it up in your own. And I was returning a book, like one of those books, so I had it, and I remember thinking, oh, I'm just going to stick this in here because I'm going to go to the post office first, and I stuck it inside the book. But of course, that thought went right out of my head, and I went to the library first, and I dropped off that book. And didn't even cross my mind. I did not even think about it. I forgot totally about it. And then I think the next day it was like, wait a minute, I think I put that card in that book, and now it's gone. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get another one. And probably about 4 or 5 days later, I had an email from one of the librarians at this other library that this book, now this isn't like in another town or 2 towns over. I don't even remember where it was, but yeah, and she sent me an email. She's like, hi, Lisa. She said, you returned a book last week and it came back to us, and I noticed that I happened to open it up and there was a letter in there addressed to someone in the UK. Would you like me to return that to you? I'd be happy to send it back to the Marblehead Library with our next delivery of books. And I was like, oh, that is so nice. Totally something they did not have to do. And sure enough, I got a call last week from the Marblehead Library here saying we have a letter for someone in the UK that got returned to us, and it's for you. So next time you come in, pick it up. So I have to go pick it up now, and then I can mail it to Gil. So it's a long roundabout story, but just to say that was just a very lovely thing that happened. So sometimes those nice things happen between. So I was just thinking about this because of the bag. Anyway, so I'm really happy with these socks. The third project that I am continuing to work on, actually for the Knit British, Louise Knit British has a year-long knit-along going on right now, and it's basically to kind of pull out items from your queue or works in progress that you just haven't finished, you just haven't done, and that you're still excited about but just haven't done, and make a commitment for each quarter. So you have 3 months to do each project. Just get one of those projects done and kind of plan out 4 projects for the year. So my first one is one that I have been just waiting to make. I loved it forever, and I got the yarn. The fiber, I really wanted to spin most of the fiber for it, and I have. So this is the half Hansel, and that's by Gudrun Johnston, and it's just beautiful. It's a half hap. So a hap, as I've explained before, a hap is a very large square shawl that is traditional in the Shetlands, in Shetland. And it's usually knit in this huge square. I don't really need that big of a shawl, so Gudrun has an option to do a half of it. So it's a triangular shawl, so basically half of a square, and that's the one I'm doing. And I purchased fiber to spin for that from Carol at Foster Sheep Farm, and I have been in the process of spinning that. And I've spun all the main color, and then I've spun some other colors to go with it. I have some special Shetland yarn that I picked up at a Battenkill Fiber Mill when I went last April to the Knit Local Getaway with Sarah Pomegranate. And then I had the last piece of and I actually have some yarn from New Leaf Yarns in the UK, and that's alpaca. And she sent me, I purchased a set of 4 mini skeins. I think there's 4 colors in there, and they were all wrapped together. And I'm using 2 of those, held double in one to make the same weight as the rest of the hand spun. And that's great too. So that's still, I didn't spin it, but still it's a place-based yarn. I'm really, really happy to be using it. And then finally the last color, that again, this is yarn from Carol at Foster Sheep Farm, is this lovely red color. And I guess this is my finished project. Could be my finished object this week. I finally finished spinning this, applying it, and I washed it up and soaked it and washed it. So now this is ready to go in. I was waiting for this color to go into the Hansel. So here it is. It's actually coming along. This is I didn't anticipate this to be as fast in it as it's turning out to be, but it's just lovely. Let me make sure I get the right. So this is the right side of it. Isn't that lovely? Oh, comes out great on actually it looks really great on the camera. So this is the hand spun that I did from Carol. This is some other hand spun, or I forget where I purchased this. I probably purchased this at a farm on another Knit Local, probably 2 years ago. Then this other, the lighter cream color here, or the darker cream color, is the Shetland that I got from Battenkill. And then this here is the alpaca from New Leaf Yarns, which is lovely and soft. And holding it double makes it perfect. So it's actually perfect. So now my last color is this. And so this is going to be the kind of the pop of color in this very neutral set of tones here that I have going. But I think this is going to be great. I actually have quite a bit. You don't really use much of the contrasting yarn. Most of your yarn, of course, is going to be for this piece. This color again is repeated in, there's an edging on it that goes all the way around. So that's, I'll use a lot more of this, the main color here. But I have quite a bit of this, all of these contrasting colors. And I'm actually, Patricia from Knitography had gifted me a beautiful pattern for a sweater. So it's a colorwork sweater, and it's just lovely. So I think I don't think I'll have enough of this color. I have quite a bit of it, but I don't think I'll have enough of this main color to actually knit a body of a sweater in. So I'm going to have to find something else, or maybe I'll spend some more for it. But it's probably going to be in this color range because it's going to really match this. But I can use all of these colors plus this as the yoke, the color work that's in the yoke of the sweater. So. And I'll get get to use every ounce of all of these different contrasting colors, and it'll be really fun because I'll have two projects that use a lot of my hand spun or just some special place-based yarn, and I'm really looking forward to that. So I think maybe tonight, I'll add this in, and then I can keep going. This is the last color I needed, so I can keep going and finish this off, and I'm very, very pleased with it. I'm not in any rush. As I said, I have a whole quarter, so it was October, November, and December again, so I have all of this ready before I have plenty of time to knit this up before we move on to our next quarter project. So, but this is beautiful. I love it. It's going to be just wonderful. I've wanted to do a hat for a long, long time. Hat, and this is a really Gudrun Johnston's project. Pattern is really very lovely, and it's very easy to follow. I actually chose, there were a couple of choices when you're making your transitions here, and I don't know if you can see it here, but this transition right here, it makes a really pretty kind of a braided effect down here, which is really nice as well. But so anyway, I'm very pleased, very happy with this project. Let's see. My third project, I think, that I'll show today is a new one. I just started this recently, and this is called the Moonglow, and it's by Jana, Huck. It's part of an ebook that you can get on. I think you can buy each of the patterns separately, but there's an ebook that I purchased. I think she had it on sale when she first put it out, and there are 4 or 5 shawl patterns in it, so it was really good value. This was the one I was really drawn to. Again, it's called Moonglow. And I am really, really liking it. It is going to be a very large, kind of a winged shawl. It's kind of crescent, but the wings kind of come up and around, so you'd be able to really wrap this around. But isn't this really lovely? I really love how the way that the striping is going, and the striping will go all the way along it. This piece here in the middle becomes the top, really, I should say. So this gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Start here, gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and goes across your neck area, and then you start decreasing down. So you'll have 2 of these very long wings on either side, and I think it's coming out really, really lovely. I purchased the yarn for it with Carol at Foster Sheep Farm the last time we were there. I think it's Classic Elite. Yep, it's Ultra Alpaca. Oh, Barocco Ultra Alpaca tonals. And I think they really go well together. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the pattern for this is knit in fingering weight yarn. So I had to kind of fiddle around a little bit with the needle size on this, because even if there was a gauge, I wasn't going to get the gauge because I wasn't using fingering weight yarn. And this would be fantastic in fingering weight yarn as well. But I wanted to do it more in a DK kind of weight because this will be warmer. So I had to fool around with the needle size. I started with the too small one, and I moved up a couple and just kind of tried it out a couple of times just to get the kind of the right drape. The first time I did it, it was very, very stiff. It was way too stiff, and this is much drapier now, and it will also, of course, block out even drapier when I'm finished. But I'm very, very pleased with this. Oh, that's the back, so you can see it's really interesting. You're just carrying, and it has a great detail. It has an I-cord detail on the side, on the edging, so you don't have to cut your yarn. You're just kind of wrapping it and carrying it up the side each time you change colors, which is a really nice detail and just makes it easier. So there will be no ends to weave in except for the bottom and the very end of the project. So I think it's just a very, very nice detail in the pattern, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm actually probably this is probably going to be a pick up on this. My friend Julie and I Julie from who is my pen pal from the Paws4stitches pen pal Cal. I think that's what it's called. I always forget. Pen pal Cal? I think it is. So we've been paired up. And we basically each pen pal together. You decide on a project that you're going to knit each month. I think it's a 3 months. September, maybe 4 months. September, October, November, December. We did socks for the first time, and we got to exchange them at Rhinebeck, which is fabulous. And we still have some time, so we're both going to kind of pick up a shawl whip and see if we can work on that together, which is just great, and encourage each other to continue working on that. So yeah. So those are my projects right now. Super happy with them. They just feel, they're all very, I don't know if hardy is the right word, but they're kind of hardy. Especially this and the Hansel. Yeah, they're just really good knitting projects for November. All right, so let's move on to kind of a recap of Rhinebeck. All right, Rhinebeck. What a wonderful, wonderful experience it was this year. Yeah, I love it. As you know, if you follow the podcast, Sophia, my daughter, just actually got a new job with Oddly Travel in Boston, and she is going to be a Japan specialist. And crazily enough, what they do for their specialists is that once a year, they send them to the country that they are going to be dealing with. So Sophia started work for a week, and then she went to Japan for a month. So she is now in Japan. And she's doing things like taking different tours, investigating different tour companies, staying in hotels that she would be able to recommend, doing hotel inspections, eating at lots of different restaurants, just exploring all the different areas in Japan, kind of tourist areas, but Oddly is more of a high-end travel company. So they really are looking for kind of unique experiences for people that might want to, they're interested in going to Japan. So it's great for her because she's really is having an opportunity to go to so many different places that she would have loved to have gone to, but she just couldn't either afford to or just didn't have the time, being a student and then being a teacher there last year. So she's just having a great time, and I have lots of pictures. I'll be putting those in at the end as well. But we weren't sure when she first got the job what was going to happen when. So luckily, Rhinebeck was the weekend before she started her new job, so she could still come with us, which was great because she hasn't been in a couple of years because she was away in Japan again last year. So she was able to come. My sister-in-law Tracy, of course, my constant knitting companion, and came along with us, and two of Sophia's friends, Sarah and Emma, from Burlington, who she knew from UVM, who are also fantastic knitters, also came along with us, and we rented an Airbnb house, which is fantastic. We had a whole house to ourselves this time. Last year, Tracy and I just rented a room in a brownstone. This time we rented a whole house because we had enough people, and that is such a nice experience. If you are planning at some point to go to Rhinebeck, don't be put off by having to find a hotel room unless you want to. The problem with Rhinebeck is that so many people go, and basically all of the hotels right around in the Rhinebeck area, they get filled up like literally like the day after this one. I'm sure there's hardly any hotel rooms available right now. They're totally booked for next year's Rhinebeck. It's just kind of the way it is. People, if people are staying in a hotel, they're going to go ahead and just get those same reservations for the following year. So it's very difficult if you are kind of coming up to it and going, "Oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to go," or you don't want to commit to it, or whatever, to try to find a hotel room in the close enough vicinity to Rhinebeck to make sense. So what we have done, when I lived in Saratoga, it was perfectly fine. We would just come down for the day, and we would just drive down and drive back to Saratoga, because it was only about 2.5 hours away. So that was perfectly fine. But now that I'm over here, it seems like much more of a good idea to see if we can find a place. So it worked last year, and it worked great again this year. So Airbnb is really a great option. And people, I don't even know if people, I mean, I know a lot of people do it, but I'm not sure that there are enough people that kind of even like think about that as an option to do. And it's really lovely. I have done 3 different Airbnb experiences. I did one in Japan. Tracy and I did one last year for Rhinebeck, and then we did one this year for Rhinebeck, and it worked out great. Every single one of them has worked out great. I have no issues whatsoever. Everything is exactly the way it was worked exactly the way it was supposed to, and it was a lovely experience. So this year we had a whole house, and that meant that we could cook, and we could just kind of hang out at night, which was really a lot of fun. We all kind of converged on the house in Saugerties, and it was a farmhouse this time. A farmhouse with a big red barn behind it. It was beautiful. But we kind of converged together. We all met up in Saugerties in the afternoon, and kind of got settled in the house. And then we thought we were gonna. We had brought some food, so we knew we were going to eat there that night, so we decided we were all going to go into Kingston and go to India Untangled. Tracy and I went last year, and it was pretty crowded last year, but it was okay. We got a place to park, etc., and it was fine. Tracy bought some yarn there last year. We saw a lot of people there last year, but so we all decided, Emma and Sarah, this was their first Rhinebeck. They'd never been before, so they didn't have any idea of what to expect. We pulled into the hotel, and it was so crowded. There was no parking. We ran into some friends of ours in the parking lot, and they were just saying, "Don't even try, because you can't. There's no way that you're gonna get in." The line to get in was out the door. And the other problem, not a problem, is that the weather was very, very warm. It was in the 70s, which, New York in the fall, it really can range from, 80 degrees to 20 degrees and raining or snowing. So you just don't know what kind of weather you're going to get at Rhinebeck. And this year it was sunny and it was warm. So it just felt hot. And, we had all driven quite a ways. We really just did not feel like fighting the crowd. I just think, and everyone I spoke to, and I'm sure the people that put together India Untangled, I think they have outgrown the space. I think a few years ago when it first started, not everybody knew, and there weren't that many people that maybe came in the afternoon or the early evening on Friday before the event. So I think it's a really great venue, because it's really full of all indie dyers, which is super, and some really great ones. So if there's something that you're looking for, or you want to meet someone, it's really a great idea. I just think they need to find a bigger locale for it. The hotel venue was just too small. It seemed it like exploded from last year, and last year was pretty crowded, and this year it just was way overcrowded. And I think the weather had a lot to do with it, because people, it wasn't raining, it wasn't cold, so people were like, "Whoa, let's go out to India Untangled." So maybe next year, if they move it, we'll try that again. But we did not even go in. So we ended up just going back. We had a lovely sun. We sat around and we just knitted, and we went to bed early because we knew we wanted to get up, and we did. Another lovely day. We got to Rhinebeck and got in. They have a brand new building where you enter. So you enter in a different place than we used to enter. So it was kind of like, a whole mindset. You had to switch where you kind of started, because you walk into Rhinebeck and you're gonna kind of like gravitate to the buildings that are where you come in. So we had to have a plan as to where we were going to go. And we did. We kind of walked around, and as I said, Sarah and Emma had never been there before, so they didn't know what to expect or what to do, and it's very overwhelming if you've never been before. And it was super overwhelming this year because there were so many people. Like, there were like thousands and thousands of people there. I don't even know how many people were there, but it was so big. Oh my gosh, it was so crowded. We got there right away. It opened up at 9. think it opened earlier, an hour earlier than it usually does too. And we got there, and it was just all of a sudden it was like, whoop, like all these people were there. It was crazy. It was crazy, but it was wonderful as well. We had a very, very, very special day. Our friend now, I can say she's our friend, a podcast watcher, Yuki, who is from Japan, and she contacted me several months ago, saying she had watched the podcast, and she was obviously very interested because of Sophia being in Japan, et cetera, and she's a lovely knitter, and she, we've been chatting back and forth, and she emailed me at one point and said, I think I'm going to come to Rhinebeck. I was like, great, that's awesome. That will be wonderful. So she did. She set it all up. She flew. She came by herself too. I thought for sure she might come with her husband, but she came by herself. She flew into New York City. She stayed over in New York City for the evening, and then she came up to Rhinebeck. She had a hotel room. I forget where, but she had accommodations and took the train. I think she took the train from Poughkeepsie to Rhinebeck and made her way over. And she found us. And because we said, just come, and when you're here, find us. We'll text us, and we will, we'll spend the weekend together. What a wonderful experience to have. And she did. She found us. It was fabulous. What a wonderful woman. So brave. Oh my gosh. I don't think I would go to Japan by myself. Yuki's been to this country several times before. I think she was an exchange student for 1 year in high school as well. So her English is very, very good, and she kind of understands how to get around here. So it wasn't probably not quite as scary for her as just dumping me in Japan would be. But it was really still something to come all that way, just to come to Rhinebeck. So it was fabulous. It was just wonderful. She's a wonderful person, and of course she and Sophia spoke Japanese like all the time, which was great. I can't even tell you how wonderful. I mean, I know intellectually that my daughter speaks another language, foreign language, and one that I have no, nothing, no connection for me in my Western language brain. If someone's speaking French, or they're speaking Italian, or they're speaking, they're speaking Spanish, I'm not going to understand them, but your brain can function and kind of recognizes it as a language. Japanese, completely not. And they're great. It was unbelievable to watch Sophia talk to Yuki in Japanese. It was so much fun. I think she's actually an English teacher in Japan, so that was really fun to hear about that as well. But Yuki, she brought us all so much stuff. But she brought me a Japanese knitting magazine, and she brought me also, I guess the copyright laws in Japan are very different from the copyright laws here, so she was able to make copies of lots of different Japanese knitting patterns for sweaters and things, and she brought those for me to me as well. I haven't really had a chance to kind of sit down and go through those. I'll probably do that over Thanksgiving, but they're great. And Japanese knitting patterns are different than Western knitting patterns. Most of it's charted, but I think there's kind of like, once you get the key and turn the key and you can understand the concept of how it works, it's really great. And I picked up that book of Japanese knitting patterns, knitting motifs a couple weeks ago on Amazon, and that has a very, very clear explanation and walks you through how to look at a Japanese knitting pattern, how it's different, how it's the same, and how to look at it, and how to actually knit from a pattern. So I'm probably going to choose something small, maybe like a hat or a scarf, and try it out. I don't know which pattern I'm going to use, but it's phenomenal, and it's just so much fun because in Japan they read the opposite way than we do, so their magazines are set up this way as well. So the magazine opens on the left rather than if this was America, we would, or the Western states, countries, you'd be opening it here on this side and reading, but in Japan you do it on the opposite side. So this is the front of the magazine and not the back of the magazine, and then it goes on in here, and it just has these beautiful patterns, and all of the patterns are in are in the book, in the magazine as well. So, and it's very descriptive. There's pictures on how to do a particular stitch. So you can see here, there's like all these different pictures on how to do a stitch. So you don't have to read Japanese. You just have to know kind of what the key is and how what these different symbols mean. Because some of the symbols are different than what we would use in Western knitting patterns as well. So I'm really looking forward to kind of delving into some of this winter. I can see some cozy afternoons trying to figure out the pattern. I think it's like going to be like a puzzle for me, and I kind of like that. I like that when I'm doing knitting. I'm not a big fan of just doing kind of like all stockinette, so I usually like to have a little bit of something. So this will be more than a little bit of something, but I'm really looking forward to kind of delving into this. But unbelievable, she gave us all of these magazines and all knitting patterns, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Now the best part of all is that on the second day she had knit me a sweater. She knit me this beautiful sweater. Now I have this is the Zilver pattern on top of it here. It's pretty cold outside, so wrap that up. But this is a beautiful turtleneck, and she knit me a sweater. She knit me a sweater. I could not believe it when she gave it to me. And it's just, so it's a Japanese knitting pattern. It has tons of cables and just tons of beautiful, oh my gosh, beautiful patterning all over. And I actually think this is really interesting. This is super interesting, and it probably makes this so much easier to knit. And I've never seen this before. Maybe I just haven't seen it in a pattern before. But if you notice, on the sleeve, the outside part of the sleeve is all pattern, which you would think it would be all pattern. But I think normally in a Western pattern, you would be patterning all the way around. In this pattern, the inside is plain stockinette. Genius. No one's ever going to see this. It's always like down by your side, so no one's going to, oh, let me see that cable that you're holding there by your side. So, genius. Now, I don't know if they all do this, but this is a genius thing. I mean, why not? You don't put a pattern on the bottom of your socks, do you? No, you wouldn't want to walk on it. So this just makes knitting the sleeve, it's got to be so much easier because you've got that little relief. You're doing all kinds of crazy stuff over here on this side, but just that little bit of relief, like, whoa. Plus that then that's the inside, that that's the inside of the sleeve. I was like, genius. I would do this. Any sweater I ever do again, I would probably do this because I'm like, why not? Why not? Unbelievable. Anyway, it's beautiful. I've worn it like a ton of times to work already. And it's beautiful because people are like, did you knit them? No, I did not knit this one. I had a friend who gave that to me. So, Yuki, we are friends for life. You know that next time you come to the United States, you're staying here. You fly into Boston and you come here, and then we go to Rhinebeck. But it was just a phenomenal experience to meet Yuki, and she's so funny. It's just a wonderful person. We had so much fun, and I totally look forward to the next time she comes. I didn't really even buy anything for myself. I mean, it's just a crazy thing this year at Rhinebeck. I think I bought some things for one of the Harry Potter swap, but I didn't buy. It was about the people for me this year. It was totally about the people. We went to the podcaster meetup, which again is crazy. It's just crazy. Emma and Sarah had definitely had some podcasters that they really wanted to meet, which was so much fun for them because I think they met everybody that they wanted to. They were so excited. We have lots of pictures in there too. I was over the moon excited to get to meet Kate from Hawthorne Cottage Creations. She again flew all the way from Ireland to come to Rhinebeck, but that was so special to meet Kate. And then of course I also got to meet Patricia from the Knitography podcast, which was just warmed my heart. Patricia and I have a lot of life things in common, so it was a delight. It was a delight to meet her, and she actually stayed with Lori from the Chickenwood Studio podcast, and they stayed just outside of Saratoga, and that's crazy for me. So to know Patricia, who lives in Norway, came all the way here for this. originally from Texas, lives in Norway, and came to Rhinebeck, and she stayed right outside of Saratoga and spent time in Saratoga. And of course, I wasn't there this time, but she stayed with Lori, and kind of like this whole universe kind of comes together. But Lori is really good friends with the mom of Sophia's best friend from high school. They don't really see each other very much anymore because Megan lives out west, but they're always talking, and they're just the best of friends. And Lori and Megan's mom are great friends as well. So it's kind of all these little things kind of come together, and who knew? And between all of us, and here we are with Patricia from Norway. So it just really warmed my heart to finally get to meet her. I ran into Marcia very little, and I had brought the Sorrento shawl with me because I test knit that, if you remember, over the summer, that beautiful, huge shawl that I test knit for her. So I brought it with me. I wasn't sure if I was going to see her. I knew she was coming, but I did, and so we got a picture together. So that was really a lot of fun. We ran into Alice from the Purl Gray YouTube channel, and she's a new podcaster. So that was really fun. And it turns out I've watched a couple of her episodes, and it turns out that she ran into Yuki at the train station. And so, because Yuki had told us that she had met up with some knitters and people were knitting, she was giving them magazines and things, and so she was having this whole experience on the train before she got to Rhinebeck, and Alice was one of them, it turns out. And it was just so funny. Again, another kind of like this connection thing that happened. We spent a lot of time with Sarah Pomegranate from the Yarns at Yinhu podcast, of course, and Mary Beth, our friend Mary Beth, and then we also had a meetup of all the people from the Knit Local getaway that Sarah runs in April. So that was really fun because that was at the end of the day on Saturday, and we just were like, we all kind of like passed out and sat in a big circle on the grass, and it was just relaxed for a little while. So that was really really lovely. We also went back. We were exhausted on Saturday night. We went back and we had another lovely meal that we all cooked, and hung out and looked at all of our purchases, and just went to bed early and knew we were going to go. We went back on Sunday morning, and Sunday morning at Rhinebeck is a whole different vibe than Saturday. It's much more relaxed. It's not so much of that frenzied, like I have to get things, or there are people I need to see, meetups that need to happen. So it's really much more relaxed. It's less fun. You can actually get into booths. There's probably half the people there on Sunday that are there on Saturday. So it's really much more relaxed. It was just so much nicer. I actually ran into. She found me. It was actually great. My friend Miriam, who actually has a farm in the western part in New York State, but she found me and she stopped me, and this is her card. So it's the Constant Thread. Miriam knits. Probably a bunch of you know her on Instagram, but this is super cute. But Miriam stopped me and gave me 3.5 ounces of her fiber that she has. It's from her from one of her sheep, Sal. His name is Sal. So it's Sal's wool with silk and some alpaca and Firestar all put together. So she gave me 3.5 ounces. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is wonderful. So she gave this to me, but then she also gave the podcast some for a giveaway, which I think we'll do when Sophia gets back from Japan. So the next time we record, she'll be back from Japan, and I know she has some ideas for a giveaway. So that's going to be in the next one. So look forward to this. You could be the lucky winner of some of this beautiful fiber. But isn't this gorgeous? Look at this. Look at the colors in this. Oh my gosh. Once again, place-based fiber, place-based yarn. I love it. It's just great to know, where your wool, where your yarn is coming from. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Miriam. I love it. And I have a special thing I'm going to do with this. So in the Harry Potter Knit Along, we have a swap, and we have a swap partner. We get partnered up, and my partner is Lucy. Lucy, if you're watching this, I told you not to watch it until afterwards. Turn this off right now. But this year was a character swap. So you tell your favorite character, and then your partner kind of puts together a package things that kind of, would relate to that particular character. So Lucy gave me 2 characters, but the one I chose to put together a package for was Luna Lovegood. So, and Luna, it's always these very kind of ethereal colors and purples and pinks and just kind of muted things. And when Erin gave this to me, I thought, look at this. This screams out Luna Lovegood to me. This color's got the purple and the blue and lovely. So what I'm doing is I took half of it, I packaged it up, and I sent half to Lucy, and I kept the other half. And what I said to her is it will be a challenge for us because we'll each spin half of it and do whatever, add beads to it, apply it with commercial yarn. That's probably what I'll do, so I'll get the most yardage out of my half. But apply it with commercial yarn, apply it yourself, make it thick and thin, make it lumpy, make it bumpy, make it thin, whatever you want to do with the other half. So spin it up and send it back. So I sent the fiber to Lucy, so I'm expecting her to spin up that half and send it back to me. I'm going to spin up my half and do something creative with it and send it back to her. And then we'll both just have had a little bit of a mini challenge and something really, really fun. And I'm really looking forward to it. So stay tuned the next time because you can have a chance to win some of this glorious fiber yourself. Just kind of thinking about kind of pulling it together for me. I think Rhinebeck this year it's probably the best time that I've ever had there. It was so wonderful. We go every year, so it's not new. I've probably been 8 or 9 times. I don't even remember the count there. Every single time is different, and I think this was really the best so far. I think we knew the most people, and it was just so fabulous to have people come up to us and say hi, and just say they enjoyed the podcast or whatever. And it was so nice meeting people in what a beautiful atmosphere. So really, this time, as I said, I didn't purchase anything for myself at all. But that didn't matter. I came home and I was like, I just bought gifts for things. It didn't matter that I didn't buy anything for myself because I have this really great memory. And it's been really interesting to me to watch because everybody kind of puts up does a video of their what they did at Rhinebeck, etc. And it's so much fun to see the pictures and the videos that everybody else has taken because it kind of puts it all into perspective because their take on the weekend is completely different than my take on the weekend. They saw different things. They met different people. And in one sense, it extends my experience because, I'm like, oh, I didn't see that. Or, wow, I didn't see that. Or, yeah, I remember these 2 people kind of getting together on the hill. I saw them when they were, they were talking together. So it's really, really interesting to see see it from a different perspective and to have experienced it yourself and kind of put that all together in your mind. But I think for me, this really was the most wonderful Rhinebeck I have attended to date. Just being able to spend time with Sophia's friends, spending time with Yuki was amazing. That was just the most amazing thing that I've ever had happen at Rhinebeck. And getting to meet new friends. Reconnecting with old friends. It was so much fun to watch Sarah and Emma experience it for the first time. You don't really get that. You don't get to. Usually, if you're you and your friend are both experiencing it for the first time, so you're overwhelmed. But we were able to help them pace themselves, kind of. It was great to see them experience it for the first time. For Tracy and I, it was just we've done it. We've been here before. We know what to expect, and we just spent our time really talking to people and just enjoying the atmosphere. And for me, that's what a festival is. Is really all about. It's really become not so much that frenzy to find the perfect yarn or to find the perfect fiber, although sometimes that happens. It really is just an opportunity to connect with other knitters. Local and from far away. That was really special this year, I think, really, is just to be able to connect with, with people that you feel watching their podcasts, watching their video channels. get to really talk with them in person and have that moment. I think everybody says you don't have enough time to talk, but at least you have that little bit of a personal connection, which really makes it different. It makes it more fun for me to record. Certainly made it fun for Sophia when she records, and it was just a lovely experience. Being able to meet everyone and to talk with everyone, and I look forward to it. It energizes you for the year. I wouldn't want to do it every weekend, but once a year is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah. So other things that are happening here. Sophia will be back in 2 weeks. She has another 2 weeks there in Japan. She comes back, and then I actually have a work trip to Disney. I'm going to Disney for 4 days. I don't know how I lucked into that one, but I did. So so I'm going to be going to Disney right after Thanksgiving for 4 days, which will be really nice. I'm going to enjoy the warmth. Enjoy being in Disney again. Sophia and I spent many a weekend there when we lived there when she was just a little one. So I'm really looking forward to that. And this Sophia is home this year, so Christmas decorations, I fear, are going to be many, very many. I'm not really a big decorating fan. I do it at Christmas time usually, but I'm not the biggest fan. I have to admit that, if I could go to Disney and experience Christmas like there or somewhere else, I'd be all over that. Someday, that's what we're going to do, someday. But yeah, her dad really likes Christmas is his favorite. He likes a big tree, he likes a lot of lights, he likes a lot of decorations, and, she really hasn't had that opportunity because she's, been a college student. She was just working in Japan, and it's a big deal, but it's not like the same way as it is here. So I suspect that when she gets back, I fear walking back into the house after my trip to Florida. I fear it. Wish me luck. Yeah, wish me luck. I can't imagine what it's going to look like when I get back. We'll see. We will see. But anyway, the weather's lovely. It's turned very cold. It is no longer 70 degrees, 75 degrees. I think it's maybe going to be 38 today, so it's chilly. It's very, very chilly. And down here on the water, there's pretty much always a breeze. Yeah, there's never not a breeze. So we have some windows that need to be plasticed over, etc. So we'll be working on that, I think, today and tomorrow as well. But other than that, that's about it. So thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming here and listening to me. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you like the podcast, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the button and subscribe down on the bottom. Follow me on Instagram. I'd love to have new followers, and I love all the interactions that go over there. And then we also have a Ravelry group as well. And don't forget, it's just knitting. Bye.